Let's start with a question. Do you still believe that being good is enough to survive in this world? If you do, you're holding on to a dangerous illusion, because here's the truth: kindness, by itself, is not a shield. It doesn't protect you from betrayal, from exploitation, or from the cold calculations of those who see your goodness as weakness. Deep down, you've already felt it. Think back. How many times have you done the right thing, only to be ignored or used? How many times have you stood firm in your honesty, believing it would earn you respect, and instead found yourself dismissed, overlooked, or worse, trampled on? We've all been taught the same comforting story, that virtue is rewarded, that nobility is honored, that goodness will always triumph. But reality tells a different tale. The world doesn't reward those who simply are good, it rewards those who know how to navigate its shadows. And this is where the teachings we explore here, on the Stoic path, become essential. Machiavelli, a man often misunderstood, didn't write about cruelty for cruelty's sake. He understood something few are willing to face. Human nature is selfish, fickle, and brutal when it needs to be. In The Prince, he makes it clear: virtue without cunning is weakness. Kindness without awareness is a trap. And too many of us keep falling into that trap, thinking that our goodness alone will protect us. Ask yourself this: how many times have you trusted too easily, only to be betrayed? How many times have you stayed silent to avoid conflict, only to lose more than you gained? Look at those who've achieved greatness. Do you really think they got there on good intentions alone? Of course not. They knew how to move strategically. They understood that morality isn't an obstacle, it's a tool. They wielded it carefully, knowing when to display it and when to keep it hidden. This isn't about abandoning kindness. It's about evolving it. This is what I call intelligent kindness. Intelligent kindness is not naive. It doesn't assume. Everyone plays fair. It doesn't give trust blindly. Instead, it's kindness sharpened by wisdom. It's compassion paired with strength. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." And here's the question you need to ask yourself: which have you chosen? Most people choose love, to be liked, to be harmless. But what has it brought you? Pity, exploitation. The harsh truth is this: kindness without strength does not inspire admiration, it invites predators. I'm not telling you to abandon goodness. I'm telling you to protect it, to combine virtue with vigilance. Because the world doesn't bow to the righteous, it bows to those who understand its rules. If you project weakness, you'll be treated as weak. If you radiate strength, you'll be met with respect. It's that simple. How many times have you seen someone less capable rise above someone more deserving, simply because they appeared confident, decisive, untouchable? This is where perception becomes power. You see, it's not enough to be good, smart, or strong. You must look it. Appearances matter more than reality, because people react to what they see, not to what is true. Machiavelli knew this. Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. If you appear unsure, they won't believe in you even if you're right. But if you carry yourself with quiet certainty, they'll follow even when they don't fully understand why. This is why those who master perception often rise, while those who rely solely on truth remain invisible. Have you ever noticed it? The incompetent boss promoted over the skilled worker. The manipulator who thrives while the honest man struggles. This is no accident. The world doesn't follow virtue, it follows authority. An authority is built, not given. Part of that authority comes from controlling information. The most powerful people don't reveal everything they know. They speak less than they think. They keep certain cards hidden. They maintain an air of mystery, not because they are dishonest, but because they understand that information is power. And power is not something you give away freely. Think about it. How many times have you spoken too much, only to regret it? How many times have you confided in someone, only for it to backfire? The wisest leaders practice strategic silence. They reveal just enough to command attention, but never enough to be fully predictable. That unpredictability forces others to respect them, even fear them. Here's the paradox. The less you explain yourself, the more people lean in to listen. Silence creates curiosity. Curiosity creates respect. And respect gives you control. If you speak endlessly, if you explain every move, if you try to justify yourself to people who don't even matter, you hand them your power. Instead, speak less. Say only what needs to be said. Leave space for interpretation. This is how you transform from pawn to player. And here's where it all ties together. The art of balance. True strength isn't cruelty. True wisdom isn't blind trust. And true virtue isn't submission. It's about knowing when to show kindness and when to protect yourself, when to speak and when to remain silent, when to move in the open and when to step into the shadows. The Stoic philosophers taught this balance long before Machiavelli. They understood that a good man must also be a strong man. That wisdom means seeing the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to teach you to be evil. He wrote it to arm you for survival. And that's what we aim to teach here, on the Stoic path. How to walk through an unfair world with your principles intact, without letting them destroy you. Predictable people are the easiest to control. When your reactions, emotions, and decisions follow the same pattern every time, others begin to read you like an open book. They know what to expect, and once they can anticipate you, they can manipulate you. But the moment you become unpredictable, the moment you stop giving the same responses they've come to expect, you become dangerous. And in this world, those who are dangerous are respected. Machiavelli understood this deeply. A leader who can be read effortlessly is a weak leader, but a leader who guards their thoughts, shifts their approach when needed, and refuses to be labeled that is the leader who endures. So here's the question. Will you remain an open book, easy to read and easy to use, or will you become a strategist, someone who controls their image, their words, and their unpredictability, someone who learns to play the game rather than be played by it? Because kindness without strategy isn't kindness, it's an invitation to be devoured. The world isn't going to change its rules to protect you, so the only option is to learn how those rules truly work and use them to your advantage. When you do that, when you stop living by illusions and start living by reality, you stop being prey, you stop being a victim of the system and begin to bend it in your favor. The art of strategic distance here's where most people fail. They believe that power comes from constant presence, always being available, always being visible, always being part of every conversation. But in truth, the opposite is often true. The more accessible you are, the less you are valued. Scarcity creates desire. Absence creates impact. Think about it. Why do some people command instant respect simply by walking into a room, while others, despite being everywhere, barely get noticed? The difference isn't in their worth, it's in how they control their presence. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler should never become too familiar, not out of arrogance or disdain, but because overexposure breeds contempt. When you are always present, always giving, always available, people begin to take you for granted. And this isn't just about politics or power. It applies to every part of life, relationships, careers, friendships. The more you give without pause, the more invisible you become. The more accessible you are, the more others begin to see you as a resource rather than a person of value. How many times have you been there for everyone, only to be left alone when you needed help? How many times have you given endlessly, only to feel unseen? This is not cruelty, it's human nature. What is abundant is overlooked. What is rare is respected. You must learn to regulate your presence, pull back when needed, create space. Don't answer immediately every time. Don't make yourself perpetually reachable. Let your absence be felt, and let your presence carry weight. Those who fear stepping back believe they'll be forgotten. But here's the truth. If the only reason people remember you is because you're always there, then you were never truly valued to begin with. The figures in history who commanded attention weren't the ones screaming for it. They were the ones who understood silence, who withdrew strategically, who appeared only when it mattered and when they did. The world paid attention. Emotional control. The quiet power. Here lies another fatal flaw in most people. They think power is loud. They think it comes from aggression, force, and dominating others through sheer intensity. But the truth, the greatest power comes from control, especially control over yourself. Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. The one who loses their temper, who reacts impulsively, who is swayed by anger or anxiety, hands over control to whoever provoked them. Think of the last time someone made you angry. In that moment, who had the power, you or them? It was them. They dictated your emotions, and because of that, they dictated your behavior. Here's the truth. The one who controls your emotions controls you. But the person who cannot be provoked, the one who remains calm no matter what storm surrounds them, that person is untouchable. This doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you refuse to let those feelings make decisions for you. When others lose their composure, when they lash out or unravel, they show their hand. They become predictable, and predictability is weakness. If you can master emotional control, you become impenetrable. Others will try to provoke you. They will test you. But when they see that nothing shakes you, they begin to realize they have no power over you. True strength isn't loud. True strength is silent. The calmest person in the room is often the one everyone quietly fears. Strategic patience. The final edgy end. Here's the last piece of the puzzle. Patience. Most people want everything now. Respect now. Power now. Success now. But those who truly master the game understand that haste is the enemy of power. Think of a hunter. They don't fire at the first movement they see. They wait. They study. They let their prey come into position, and only then do they strike. This is how power works. It isn't about constant action. It's about timing. The world is full of impulsive people who rush in blindly, who move without thought, who chase every fleeting opportunity. But the strategist waits, watches, calculates. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors those who know when to hold back and when to act decisively. It's not about moving constantly. It's not about moving at the perfect moment. Because in the end, power does not belong to those who rush. It belongs to those who wait for their moment, to take it without hesitation. Becoming an anomaly. Now comes the ultimate truth. You've seen why kindness alone is not enough. You understand that perception is power, that emotional control is strength, that patience beats impulsiveness, and that scarcity creates value. But here's the question: will you use it? The world is full of people who know these truths and still do nothing. They continue reacting as expected. They keep following the same patterns. They stay predictable, accessible, emotional, and impatient, and then wonder why nothing changes. To change your fate, you must become the exception. You must become the anomaly in the system. Stop being who the world expects you to be. Start thinking strategically. Speak less. Reveal less. Let people wonder about you. Step back when it matters. Then strike when the timing is perfect. Let them underestimate you and then surprise them. Because here's the reality. The world forgets those who follow the rules, but it never forgets those who write their own. And now, I'll ask you, will you keep living as you always have, predictable, accessible, easy to read, or will you begin the transformation into someone who commands presence, controls emotion, and moves with quiet precision? This is what it means to walk the Stoic path. Because the truth is, power doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it's silent, it's calm, it's patient, and it waits until the moment it decides to move.